Hello everybody. Today we're going to be starting the Revell Monogram Impala Super Sport. It's a 1994. It's kind of like a reminiscent of the Impala Super Sports of the 60s and 70s. It's basically a full-size Impala rear-wheel drive that you mostly see on fleet vehicles like cabs, police cars. And I believe it had the 5.7 or the 350, same engine as in the Corvette, so I believe it will be in gloss black for that year anyhow. I'll just have to remember to wear gloves when I handle the body, or just constantly wash my hands, because I always seem to get my fingerprints and solvent over the black paint. So let's open it up and see what's inside. This isn't out of production, but I was able to purchase it. So let me stop the video and open the box. Okay, so the box is open. Parts are still in the plastic bag. Everything's molded in white. Seems like the clear red lens is not separately bagged. Looks like a low parts count kit. Tire tree. One set of tires. Nice chrome wheels. I'll probably have to dull that down, because in the box you can see the wheels aren't really shiny. They're more of like a cast alloy look. There's the decals. I don't know why they don't lay it flat, because the corner got bent already. So let's see what it is. It's like instrument panel, Illinois license plate. Can't quite read the rest, but the corner did get a little bent because it wasn't laid flat on the bottom of the box. Usually they put it inside the instruction manual. Clear glass. This has some dirt or scratches on it. I have to say they didn't really package it that well. Usually the clear lenses are packed separately. Let's take a look at the instructions. Seems easy. It's very small. Seems like a typical monogram kit. Doesn't seem to be too complicated. I'll probably have to just wash the plastic parts and prep it up for spray painting. There's a flip side to it too. Okay, so I'm going to take the parts out of the plastic bag, and I'll be back. Alright, so I slit open the plastic bag. So here are the clear red lenses, the rear tail lamp wraparound. I don't know what this red piece is, maybe a dirt brake light or something. Here is the body. It's nestled kind of with the interior tub. Looks pretty good. Nice strong molding of a 4-door Impala / Caprice Impala. For the rear spoiler, the slots for the rear spoiler, the Impala or antelope or reindeer logo in the back. I'll have to do some research, but I believe it was not highlighted in anything in contrasting colors. I think if I spray paint the body in gloss black, maybe the emblems or logos, I'll just do it in flat black. But other than that, probably no chrome or metallic silver pen. So the body looks prominent and strong, minimal or no flashing. Here's the interior, nice, strong, deep impressions on the seats. There's the dash. Get the camera to focus. I can see the dials, and of course they provided decals, so I can put the decals on rather than dry brushing. See how prominent or deep the moles are, to see whether I can dry brush it. I can see the knobs, but the speedometer or the instrument panel, I'll probably have to use the decals. Middle console, all those cup holders, that looks good. Seats, that looks like the rear axle or rear sway bar. Here is the chassis. Looks nice. Exhaust. Looks like a radiator. It looks like the intake cover. Look at that 4-door. The panels for the front and back doors, left and right side. Wheels, steering wheel, firewall. Electric fans for the radiator. Steering column, belts and pulleys. That looks like intake. Spoiler, exhaust. Hood, seat backs, transmission, valve covers, front end. Looks like the oil pan, the manifold, coils, shock absorbers, and drive shaft with rear suspension. Okay, so it doesn't look like that many parts. Should be a simple build, but I said that about the Buick GNX, which was all black, and that took me a while. So as far as the body goes, I like how the mirrors, there's actually locator holes for it, so you can stick the pins in, as opposed to you just scrape off the paint and just stick it wherever. So okay, so I'm gonna wash the parts and probably start spray painting, and I'll be back after everything's sprayed. Alright, so I'm back from spray painting. So, the blue shock absorbers, that was metallic blue, leftover paint. The interior, this seat came off the parts tree, so I had to use my reverse action tweezer to prevent it from losing. So here is the gray interior. Came out a little thick because the nozzle is on its way out as far as the spray can goes, but that's the instrument panel. I made sure that when I sprayed it, I didn't spray too heavy, because that little logo or emblem I wanted to maybe highlight in silver metallic Sharpie. The antelope or the Impala between the seats, the backrest. So that was in gray. There we go, gloss gray. The chrome, I matted it with clear matte finish. So here it is, matte clear. Here is the exhaust and the engine block. I assembled all the parts of the engine that required silver or aluminum. So anything that requires aluminum, gunmetal, or whatever, I usually just use the aluminum metallic finish. Here is the flat black finish for the undercarriage, chassis, wheels, valve covers, firewall, coil springs. Anything that calls for satin or flat, I painted it with flat black. Gloss black, front end, radiator, air cleaner, cooling fan, spoiler. That is in gloss black. The body I'm gonna have to do a little bit more work on because I'm kind of near the end. So on the hood, you can see didn't come out perfect. There's some imperfections as far as the line goes. And over here, the trunk came out great. There was some flying debris outside, so I guess I can wet sand it, but I usually don't do that. But the paint is inconsistent over here. You can tell it's not great. So I'm probably gonna paint clear top coat on top of this to seal in whatever imperfections there are, and then take it from there. So I'm going to wait 2 days, spray a clear gloss, clear finish, and then spray black on top of that again, and hopefully the finish will be nice and consistent. So that's where we are right now. All right, we are done with the sub-assemblies. I'm like 80 to 85% done. Here is the interior. It's connected to part of the engine bay. So I put the decals on, the Delco Freedom for the battery, cautionary signs or stickers, coolant overflow, windshield washer fluid, brake master cylinder, some kind of air condition compressor or condenser, another container that looks like a wiper motor. So as far as the interior goes, the vent and speaker grills are flat black. The interior is mostly dark gray. Passenger side vent over here is painted in flat black. The rest I use decal. So the driver's side vent, center console or center where the radio is and the heater controls is one large decal. I was not able to use a Tamiya setting solution. Decal setting solution is what I usually use, but I couldn't use that because the instructions said that the decals are not compatible with right over here. So it doesn't look that great, the one in the center. I may have to remove that and just hand paint it. Underneath are details that are raised and prominent enough to dry brush. So maybe that explains why the decals aren't setting in so good. But all the others is somewhat acceptable. I just wish I could use the decal setting solution so it's set in, but it says it's not compatible. So I'm afraid to use it. Maybe the decal will dissolve. Who knows what will happen. There is one inaccuracy. The transmission shifter is on the column. It actually should be on the middle console, but I assembled it the way Revell Monogram intended it to be, but I just noticed that when I was doing research on the internet. Front seats are also set pretty far back, so a lot of space between the steering wheel and the seat, giving the back seat like almost no leg room. The door panels, I have the door handles, door pulls, power windows, power locks. So there they go. Highlighted the Super Sport or SS logo on the backrest of the front seats. Hopefully the camera focuses so you can see that. And then, of course, the Impala or the Antelope on the between the two back of the rear seat. Third brake light. So the interior is ready to go, but like I said, I may have to redo that center one, pull off the decal, and hand paint it or dry brush it. This is the chassis, and the engine is not the typical 1950s or 60s or early 70s Chevy orange. They call for aluminum with flat black valve covers, so there you go. typical gloss black and flat black combination for the pulleys and the belts. The parts fit perfect. One of the guides that I use, or standards I use, is after you mount the engine, does the exhaust line up? And they do. They line up perfectly with the exhaust manifold all the way to the back. So that's a sign of well engineering, well designed. So it does match up. Suspension is somewhat flat, but I think one of the real wheels may be just slightly higher. So it's not perfectly level, but wheels do move. They were a little bit tight in the beginning, so I had to do just a little bit of filing down and scraping, and then I put a little bicycle grease. So it looks good. The wheels actually are Goodyear, I think, Gatorbacks. They're Goodyears, but the camera's not focusing. So anyway, chassis and interior is set. And while I was waiting for the body to dry, I did most of the other detailing. Like the front grille is mostly flat black, so I painted it over the shiny chrome, leaving the Chevrolet bow tie. I used a black Sharpie to duplicate the frit on the windows, which is the black framing, where the adhesive goes to adhere the window to the car. And of course, it's gray for the sun visor. The painted it white for the reverse lights, and the yellow for the signals. I don't have amber paint, so I always have to decide, do I want to paint it yellow or orange, because amber is kind of in between. But anyway, so the headlights are ready to go, tail lights are ready to go. The decals are used, and like I said, I didn't use the passenger side vent, so that's why you have one extra square one here. But when it's done, I will be putting the Illinois license plate, Land of Lincoln. Here's the paint, black gloss, supposed to be paint and primer. But from my from the clip right before, you can tell that the paint really was not consistently as far as the sheen and the shine. But now it is. It's a consistent shine or amount of paint. It has a very high shine to it, which is nice, but unfortunately there's also a large amount of orange peel. So I didn't want to spend $20 to buy the 3000 wet sand grit paper and also for the polishing compound. So I guess this will have to do. Basically it has 3 layers of paint. It had the first coat, which you saw wasn't really great. The shades came out a little different. So then I sprayed it with a clear, high gloss clear coat. And that's where I started to notice the orange peel, because I think that clear Tester's clear coat was very thick. So then I sprayed 2 layers of black paint, hoping that it would fill in the valleys and dips in the paint to fill it in. Hopefully the wet black paint will level out a little bit, but I can't really spray any more layers because the detailing, such as like the Impala SS over here, you start losing detail when you spray a little too much paint, because they start filling in all the prominent raised details. So just a large amount of orange peel. But I think also because it's the paint, because black is very unforgiving, you could actually see the shadows even more. Say if this was white paint, you wouldn't be able to see it as much, but just black paint, you see all the valleys and dips in the paint. So hence the orange peel, it just stands out so much on black paint as opposed to, say, gray or some other color. I also noticed gloss black is one of the thickest paints, because in my bottle paints, my gloss black is always the first to dry out. So I think it's just a very thick paint as opposed to like silver. Silver is very runny. But I think this is supposed to be paint and primer, so I actually bought this primer because I don't think this one does a good job of sealing the plastic. So that way I don't have to use that clear coat anymore. So hopefully I won't get that orange peel anymore. So the only things left are like the intake, The air cleaner. As far as the orange peel goes, so it could be a number of things. Either one, the black paint is unforgiving, so the orange peel really stands out. Two, gloss black is just a very thick paint to begin with. Three, I did spray outside, so one day it was 47 degrees Fahrenheit. So the ambient temperature is rather cold, so maybe that congealed the paint a little bit, even though I do warm up the paint in hot water, and I do heat up the body and the spray paint surface on top of a radiator. But I guess when the paint comes out of the nozzle, it's enough to cool at the ambient temperature. That's about it. I don't know what else can contribute to it, but like I said, I'm not gonna invest in wet sandpaper and do all that. That's a little bit too much time that I want to invest in. But it could be a number of those 4 items, being that it's gloss black is very thick. Any type of orange peel imperfections, it stands out. The ambient temperature. I also started a new can, so maybe that could be it too, because if I'm correct, the nozzle is drawing from a long straw which feeds from the bottom of the spray can. So even though I shake it and I warmed it up, it could be that the bottom is the thickest part and the middle is the best mix of the paint, and then the top may be a little too thin and the bottom may be a little too thick. So maybe that could be it too, because I hate spraying bodies with a can that's almost about out, because then you have to tilt it a certain way in order to get the last drops out, and then sometimes you may get the nozzle spitting paint out near the end, and that doesn't result in a good paint job. But anyway, so here it is, just a large amount of orange peel, but it is very shiny, it is very consistent. So as long as you look at it from certain angles, it's okay, it's acceptable. So I guess I'll have to do that. So the hood, of course, always comes out better than the body because it's such a small, you can see the shine in that, but just a large amount of orange peel. The decals, everything used up, except for the license plate. I'll put that last. So I guess that's about it. So maybe when I come back, if I remove that decal in the middle where the radio is, I'll shoot it with the painting instead. But that's where I am now. Lord Vader, your car is here. That was what the advertisement said when this first came out. So I just want to make a correction. The shifter was in the steering column for the 94, 95, and then the 96 they moved it to the middle console. But anyway, here it is. I like the stance, it's nice and low. I did not put the license plate on the front because I kind of like the streamlined look, but I did put it in the back. Used a silver Sharpie for the Impala or the Antelope. Chrome Molotow pen for the window trim. I really like the shine on that black paint, aside from the orange peel, but I did have some problems. Everything was going along well and the model assembles really nicely, except when you put the interior tub and the chassis. I really had to spread the body apart and it didn't quite fit. So if you look at the rear deck lid, the third brake light is barely visible. It would have been nice if it fit a little higher up. But it was so hard to put in that I put some model glue not on the underside of the body like I should have, but on the rear deck lid, so it kind of touched the window, so you get a slight blemish here. And then I had to basically push the interior and the chassis really high up, and then use a rubber band around the body to let it dry overnight. So I got some slight rubber band marks, even though I use a paper towel to cushion it, but you can see some slight lines going across from the rubber band. But aside from that, I like that they included the heater elements on the window. Glass for the rear window, but the fronts are open. I like the gray offset against the black body. Paint is extremely shiny. Front end looks sharp. Pretty much everything's blacked out. Interior. I'll show you the engine compartment. One of the pins on one of the sides came off because I was trying to insert it, and I guess it wasn't an exact fit. So there it is, one of the pins. There's two pins, that's one. The other one came off. That's the engine compartment, the intake air box. Pretty much everything's black. So as far as color goes, you just really need gray, silver, flat, and gloss black. So overall, it's a pretty sharp looking four-door. It's the undercarriage. The camera focus. There you go. Gloss black against the flat black. Silver exhaust. So you can build it whatever color you want. You can actually build it as if you had a police light, if you want to install it in the inside as an unmarked, or if you had an extra light bar, you can probably build it as a interceptor or pursuit vehicle. But it's just a sharp looking four-door. Nice stance, really shiny. Like I said, I just highlighted the raised detail, like the antelope or Impala. Not much else detail on the outside because everything was black. So I'll install stills at the end of this video. Compares well against my very last build, the Taurus SHO, which was an 89, and this one is a 94. Pretty much like almost the same category. I think the Taurus was a mid-size, this is a full-size. Pretty much they took a full-size production and beefed it up. So I think this one was actually faster than the Taurus, and it's traditional in that it's rear-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive. So feel free to ask me any questions, leave a comment. I look forward to reading them, and see you at my next build.